Mr. Holland, how are you, sir?
I'm good, thank you, Dewey. How are you?
Doing fine. I'm going to get to the pressing matter at hand. Would you win in a rematch once again against Zendaya on Lip Sync Battle?
Oh, absolutely, I would. Yeah. No, I don't know if I would. I don't have the element of surprise anymore. You got to remember that when we did that show, Zendaya was very much a celebrity, and I was very much under the radar. So I had the element of surprise on my hands, on my side, on my hands. Sorry, I'm so tired.
Well, I mean, you have been shooting a film and doing press all day. I mean, I can't imagine why you wouldn't be tired, sir. I just really appreciate time I do have. So don't worries, man. No worries. So I threw out a tweet to your fans, and I got a couple questions I wanted to throw your way before we say our goodbyes. If you don't mind, I'll just
Okay,
do it rapid fire. The
please.
first question is, would you ever be in a musical?
Yes,
What musical would it be?
an original one, I think.
Okay. What about developing your character for Cherry? What did you do? What was your preparation? The fans want to know.
It was the most extensive prep I've ever done for a film. You know, there was kind of three chapters to my prep. The first one was physically kind of transforming, losing the weight, getting ready. The second chapter was mentally preparing myself for the emotions and the roller coaster I was about to, embark on. And then the third chapter was educating myself. I didn't know that much about the opioid epidemic or people suffering from PTSD. So I really had to try and figure out how to become as well versed in that subject as possible.
The tweet I got the most from your fans was about a film called Beneath a Scarlet Sky. What can you tell me?
Right. Beneath the Scarlet Sky is something that I've been developing with Amy Pascal. It is based on a book. I actually met Pino Lella, who is the real guy. It's the story of a young boy in Italy when it's occupied by the Nazis, and it's about espionage. It's about heroism, and it's a really cool project. At the moment, it's in very, very early stages of development, but hopefully we can get that going soon.
Last question. Thank you so much. I know you've had a long day, sir. How often during the week are you asked a Marvel question that you can't possibly answer on any level because it's Marvel?
Probably every day. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for your time, Tom. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Dewey. Appreciate it.
My first question was such a heavy topic as opiate addiction, etc. I imagine you and Tom had to find ways to keep it light in between takes because the material was just a lot. I would imagine even for
Right.
me. So what were some ways you kept it light in between takes?
Of course, while still giving, remaining respectful of the scenes that we were shooting and not taking ourselves too far out of the space that we needed to be. Yeah, there's lots of time and space to joke around. It was nice being with a group of the hair and makeup team and Tom and his brother and our PA, and we'd all just sit in a circle and scroll through our phones and chat and mess around until we were called to set, which is always fun. It's nice to keep things lighthearted and easy in between so that those darker scenes don't swallow you whole.
Who's more into their phone, your directors or Tom?
um oh geez, well, I'd say the directors are on their phone quite often, especially Joe, because that's part of their job. I mean, they've got like a million things going on at any given time, so they're constantly rolling calls. Amazing multitaskers. But again, always respectful and making sure that they have we have their full undivided attention when it's really needed.
I read something that I was a little unsure of, but I'm just going to bring it up. And if it's wrong, be sure, by all means, correct me.
Mm-hmm.
Was it true that when you saw that Tom and the Russos were attached to this project, that you somehow thought this was not going to happen for you and didn't believe you could get it? But I mean, did you really think that? Why?
Yeah, of
Why?
course.
You're so talented. Like, were you just
Thank
shocked
you.
when you got the role?
Yeah, I just think they were at a different level in their careers than I was in mine, and I hadn't had the chance to work with names quite so big before. Of course, I've worked with incredibly, wonderfully talented people before, but never the directors of one of the biggest movies of all time, and Tom, who's just an extraordinary talent. So yeah, I was certainly intimidated, and I did feel originally that it was out of my league. But I must have done something right in the audition because Here I am.
Yeah, here we are talking. Now, this
Right.
opens another question. There are a lot of actors and actresses out there who are trying to make that move, the next break, the big break, whatever you want to call it. You
Right.
obviously have been down that road. You're a success story. If you had a chance to talk to them, and you can do it right now, what would you tell them in terms of just staying the course? Just some advice.
I'd say a couple of things. One that was mentioned by a friend of mine recently that I thought was very smart and absolutely worth noting is that it's okay to have another job outside of acting. It doesn't make you any less of an actor. It also doesn't make you any less deserving of a part in the acting world. You got to pay your bills. And second of all, I'd say remain patient and make sure that you're taking care of yourself outside of this industry and the work because there is a lot of rejection that comes along with it, and you need to make sure that you're in a place where you're going to be able to take that and continue moving forward in a healthy way.
And it's hard sometimes as you're going for your dreams because sometimes they seem so far away, but
Yes.
you're just a girl from Kentucky, and here you are. You're about ready to release this wonderful film that speaks to a major problem in our society with tremendous performances, you included, and this has been enlightening. So I just want to say thank you for your time. And the movie
Thank you.
Cherry comes out this Friday, and Miss
Mm-hmm.
Bravo's performance is not one to be missed. I want to talk to the gentlemen who were indirectly, or maybe even more directly than I realized, responsible for Noche Tussin in my favorite show, Happy Endings.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
what's amazing about that is WandaVision just did a little homage to the credit sequence from Happy Endings this week's episode. And I hadn't thought about Happy Endings in a while, but now it's twice in 1 week.
Wait, you've seen this week's episode already? Stop the presses.
No,
Yeah.
last Friday.
The last Friday's episode, the one that
Yeah.
came out.
Oh man, I was gonna say membership has its privilege. You do know people. I imagine you
That's
probably
right. Yeah.
have seen a couple things. But I do want to give you a chance to respond to something because I did speak to someone who worked on the film who brought up something fairly important. There's a writer who will remain nameless. I'm not going to say who she is, if she's related to you, who alluded to maybe one of you, maybe Anthony, perhaps torturing her as a child, throwing her down the stairs in a suitcase. Now, can you confirm or deny this? This is hard-hitting stuff we got here.
I think I can both confirm and deny. I confirm that it happened, but I deny that it was me. I think that was Joe that did that.
Yeah, she went sledding. She went sledding in a suitcase downstairs. It wasn't my idea.
I don't think it was
Whose
that
idea
much
it
of an
was?
I don't think it was that much of an accident. In fact, what I told her when she told me the story, because she mentioned how you guys tortured her growing up earlier, and I said, well, wait a minute, that story they went up 2 points in my mind because they're obviously amazing big brothers, because I would have done the same thing to my sister. Now, let's get to this topic at hand. What drew you to the story, guys?
Really personal connection to it. You know, clearly being from Ohio, being from Cleveland, Nico grew up in the same area of town that we did, ran in the same neighborhoods. That was as much our life as it was his up until where the divergent moment of going to war and opioid use, and then obviously robbing banks. But a lot of the detail in the film is from our youth. You know, remembering falling in love, driving around in cars with our friends. Those are the streets we drove around on, the restaurant we worked at. It's all built into this movie and with a level of detail because we understand the mindset that he explores in the book, this sort of Rust Belt, lack of forward momentum mindset. And we have a lot of friends and family who have struggled with opioids over the last decade. And we're taking all those emotions and channeling it into this movie.
When you saw Tom, what was it about Tom, and any of you could answer this, that made you think that he was perfect for this project?
You know, it really came from our reading of the novel when the first thought came to us, to be honest with you, because the novel, while we recognized right away how valuable the story was, how important the story was, how sort of current and modern the story was. We started to get excited about its possibilities for film, but the darkness and the complexity of the story was challenging to us. We were like, well, how do we do this in a way that makes audiences come along for the ride, actually want to go there? And that's when Tom first popped into our heads, because he's so charismatic, he's so likable, he's such a phenomenal actor. He's going to take people places that they can't get to otherwise. You're going to go with somebody like Tom Holland on a difficult journey that not many other people can convince you to go on. So that first started to excite us about how we could possibly translate this to film. So he was critical to that. And that really speaks to the history that we've had with Tom. We've been working with him for years now. Even from the moment we cast him as Spider-Man, that was, we began a very intense working relationship that spanned 3 movies over several years. And, you develop a very intimate understanding of one another when you work like that, multiple projects, multiple years. So we have a very close creative connection. We have a very close personal connection. And I think, it was a great joy for all of us to be able to push into uncharted waters on this movie together.
Well, I thought the film was tremendous. It was well done to both of you. Well done to the cast. Really spoke to the problem that's affecting our world, the opiate addiction. And Cherry, I can't recommend it enough. Thank you so much for your time. But I do want to know one last thing.
Yeah.
Worst fantasy football trade that happened in Agbo this year. Who was the culprit?
You know what? I don't know that we had any trades this year, but I will say that there was a point where I was convinced that Anthony Mackie had completely forgotten to play his team, where he was just leaving in like injured players, and that's why he wound up 13th or 14th in the league. So I would say worst manager this year, Mackie.